When you grow up in Kentucky like I did, it's easy to take it for granted. I mean, Kentucky's known for a lot of things. Kentucky Fried Chicken.
And it's finger-licking good.
Horses.
They're off.
The Dukes of Hazzard. And of course, bourbon. And before we hit the road again in Latin America, we decided to make a stop in the Bluegrass State to visit some family and finally check something off my bucket list. Something I've never done before, even after all of those years growing up here. You may have guessed it, we're doing the Bourbon Trail and exploring my home state of Kentucky. Here's the thing about the Bourbon Trail. There's no set route. All these distilleries are in Kentucky and you just kind of drive everywhere, or you have somebody else drive for you.
Which we want to go ahead and disclaim that if you are going to do the Bourbon Trail, either have a designated driver, pay for one of the tours with the shuttle, do not drive yourself if you're going to be drinking a ton. I want to be clear that we have not been out here drinking and driving because we take that very seriously, very, very seriously. We don't drink a ton usually. This is probably the most I've had to drink in a day in a while, and it's like a drink and a half. So please be responsible, y'all. That's very, very important. And the roads are very dangerous around here.
The roads in Kentucky are windy and curvy, and they're old carriage roads. All the moonshiners back in the day would go through all these roads, dispersing their bourbon or whatever.
Is this true, or are you making this up?
Yeah, or disperse.
I think you're ad-libbing. You're thinking this is probably what happened. This is farmland. This is like horse country. These carriage roads are for horses, not moonshiners. You're like really overpointing and trying to keep up with the lens.
Anyway, we're doing the Bourbon Trail today. Oh, and thanks to SafetyWing for partnering with us on this video.
Starting our morning in Louisville with Quills coffee. We like this place. We come here pretty much every time we're in Louisville, we stop at Quills. We have several locations in town, but this has always been our favorite. So after our morning coffee at Quills, we hopped across the corner, just literally on the other side of the street, and we're at Butchertown Grocery Bakery. It's like a bakery, cafe. I think they do like cocktails and dinner at night. Really cute little place. I love these chairs, but we're getting breakfast because we are about to bike, so we figured we probably need a little more than just coffee in us this morning. And I'm not complaining because breakfast is my favorite meal today, but we went hearty with a biscuit. I just got egg and cheese biscuit. Chris got bacon, egg and cheese. It's a good homemade biscuit. We've said this before. We know our biscuits. We are from the South. I'm from Tennessee. Biscuits are famous in Tennessee. It's a good biscuit.
After finishing breakfast, we figured we'd better burn off a few calories before diving into a day full of distilleries. And honestly, biking through Kentucky just feels right. You're moving slow enough to really take it all in. The rolling hills, the streams, the open fields. It's so peaceful out here. And whether you know it or not, the limestone in the ground filters the water. And the climate is just right for aging barrels, and these fields grow some of the best corn around. Everything about Kentucky is built for bourbon, and after riding through it, you really see how the land shapes the drink.
We are in Bardstown, Kentucky. And Bardstown is sort of like one of the towns to go to for the Bourbon Trail. So we're like, 30 minutes from Louisville and about 45 minutes to an hour from Lexington. And this whole area is known as like bourbon country. Today we're doing Maker's Mark Distillery. Beautiful drive on the way out here. So pretty, like everything's just rolling landscape. Kentucky's gorgeous like that. And then you just kind of like come down into this little valley and there's Maker's Mark. Some people make a pilgrimage out of this. I'm not really a bourbon fan, but I feel like we've never done this. Might as well give it a try.
So people will fly into Louisville and then they will drive this 45-minute to an hour pilgrimage, and there are all of these distilleries, and over the years more and more keep getting added to the Bourbon Trail. You can take tours and see how everything's made. So people make it a big deal to come to these distilleries and they'll mark it off their list, and Maker's Mark is a really big one to check off. And they've been around for quite a while.
I'm from Bardstown. I feel bad that you guys are getting paper cups because they're so much prettier in glasses.
I got the Fall in the Red Oak Gold Rush. So when you order at the bar, you have two options. You can do it in a real glass, which is prettier. If you're gonna stay right here on the patio, they have nice little rocking chairs and it's really beautiful. But if you wanna take it, you can also walk around and they'll put it in in a paper cup. So we got the paper cup so we can go and walk around and enjoy the grounds a little bit more. So it's not as pretty, but it's so nice. This is really pleasant. Like I said, I'm not a huge bourbon person, but I'm more like beer and wine kind of thing, but it's a really good little cocktail, not too strong. I got one that tastes very fall. It has a little honey, a little citrus, a little chai, and then the bourbon. But we have it in the paper cup, so we're just walking around. The place is huge. I guess I wasn't expecting it to be this large, but they have a restaurant, they have a gift shop, and they have the full tour. You can go in some of the buildings, but beautiful. It's a really nice, moderately warm day, so I think we timed it pretty well. But it's not as busy as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot busier than this. The tours have a lot of people on them, but they're not sold out. But it's just so pleasant walking around. I mean, this is really nice. I would say if you have kids, I don't know that kids are welcome. I'll have to look that up. It is a very heavy, like, alcohol kind of thing. Not crazy. It's not a party. Everybody, we're the youngest people by like 20 years. So this is the gift shop. If you want to buy some bourbon or another little knickknack, they have a nice gift shop here. But we were told when we were ordering our drinks by the bartender, she said that if you ask the right person nicely, that they would let us in to see the ceiling as you're exiting the tour. It's the last stop, because the whole ceiling is an installation of Chihuly. And if you don't know who Chihuly is, he's an artist and he specializes in glass, like blown glass. It's beautiful. They have a whole museum of it in Seattle. Absolutely gorgeous, but the whole ceiling in there is Chihuly glass, and then the sides of the walls are bourbon barrels. So you only get to see that if you go on the tour. They only let us in there just because we had the cameras and we told them it was for work. But go on the tour, you can see it, and it really is beautiful. So make sure you notice it. I'm sure they'll point out to you, but as you're leaving the tour, look up. It's gorgeous.
We're in the underbelly of Maker's Mark right now. It's really interesting to see the behind the scenes. Even if this isn't what you're interested in, there's still a lot of work that goes into it. And it has cause for like respect. You're like, wow, this takes a lot of work to make this drink. So if you're into the Bourbon Trail, you've probably already been here before, but if you're not into bourbon, I would still say, you know what, come, like look at it, try to experience it, learn more about it. That way you at least have something to talk about to somebody in Kentucky. I may sound very ignorant, but when you talk about the Bourbon Trail and you're like, well, let's go to a distillery, I'm not actually thinking about a place that's really nice, that has really cool art or gardens, or I'm just not thinking about that. But Maker's Mark has pleasantly surprised me in that it's a little, it feels higher end. I'm not trying to offend. I'm like, oh wow, this isn't just about bourbon. This is la-di-da, you know? Does that make sense? No? Talk to me.
Well, it's just not like a cheap brewery. Bourbon is not cheap. It's a good bourbon, and they make the experience feel like it's good bourbon. To make the experience nice, you believe it's higher quality, don't you? Suckered in.
And this is a really nice experience. I feel like I can afford bourbon.
The nature sounds are fake, though. Those are fake nature sounds. That's hilarious.
All right, so we're driving around Kentucky.
We're parked right now.
Yes, but pretty soon we're going to be outside the country, which means it brings us to our favorite partner, SafetyWing.
SafetyWing has been our go-to travel insurance for years now. So exciting news from them is that they now have Nomad 3.0, which is a longer-term travel and medical insurance for digital nomads like us. Sorry.
Bless you.
Ah, gross.
That's not covered.
No. So, as we are getting ready to head back on the road and we're going to be finishing Mexico, driving through Central America and South America, we will be using our digital nomad insurance through SafetyWing. This covers us for things like if we're in a car wreck abroad, or if we decide to get food poisoning at some questionable taco stand.
Not by choice.
Not by choice. Then we will be covered if we have to go to the hospital.
Look, so if you're planning on leaving the States next year, we highly, highly recommend getting SafetyWing. It's free to sign up and start an account, and then you can stop and start it at any moment in time. Do yourself a favor. Go ahead and sign up right now.
Go. Do it. Trust me. You will need it.
You will need it.
All right. Back to the video. We're on the 1142.
Gather and let them all know we're here together and away we go. Come on over for the holiday cheer this time of year. This time of year. Come on, I can feel it deep inside my soul. Grab my hand and let the good times roll. Take a picture now that everyone's here. This time of year. This time of year.
We just finished our Louisville Slugger museum tour. It's actually a really fun museum, even if you don't like baseball. Just to seeing the process of how the bat goes from a tree to this is pretty impressive. If you are a baseball fan, this is like your heaven. Like, they have so many different people that are represented here, like Roberto Clemente, King Griffey Jr. They have a lot of different people who have used this company for a long time. They've been around since the 1800s, and so if you're a baseball fan, you know who Louisville Slugger is. So if you do book a tour here at the museum, you get a free bat, and then you can just smack each other. It's a really fun tour. So even Sarah, who doesn't like baseball, said, this is interesting and kind of fun.
It smells really good in here too. It smells like fresh cut wood. I love that smell. It smells like a forest. I know zip about baseball. I show up to the baseball games for the ice cream and a beer. But this was fun. Way to go, Louisville.
Practice your swing.
What?
Practice your swing.
There's no one around me. So first up, in the Lexington area, we're going to Woodford Reserve. This one's kind of cool because it's actually just like, 5 minutes from Chris's childhood home. And he's never been here, so both of us grew up in the South. I grew up in Tennessee, he grew up in Kentucky. Neither of us had families that ever drank or anything, so it wasn't until we were older that we started to appreciate bourbon and beer and everything else. So we've never been here, which is kind of surprising. We've been to other distilleries in the Kentucky area over the years, but this is our first time at Woodford Reserve, and it's really beautiful. It's December, it's the week before Christmas, and it's cold and rainy, and at first we were kind of like, oh, I don't know if I really go out and film or get out of the house today because it's so cozy at home. But it's really beautiful out here. Even with the leaves dead, the horse farms on the way out here are just absolutely gorgeous. This whole area is just one of the most beautiful areas in the country, and I don't think anybody ever talks about that. Like, we're standing here on the front porch of the visitor center at Woodford Reserve, and like out in the distance you can see there's just these really tall rolling horse pastures, and these are like multi-million-dollar horse farms around here. Like, it's just very beautiful. It's not like country, rural, poor. It's like really expensive, really nice. Like, the sheik from Saudi Arabia keeps horses here. It's that expensive. So when we are traveling internationally, people say, where are you from? They obviously know we're from the States. Like 9 times out of 10 people know we're from the States. But then we say, oh, I say I'm from Tennessee, and they're like, I don't know where that's at. Usually like international people, they know, the foreigners know New York, LA, Disney World. Like, those are the 3 places they always know. But I say Tennessee, and they kind of get that blank look on their face, and we always say Elvis, Jack Daniels. And then they're like, oh, Jack Daniels.
It's always Jack Daniels. They're like, oh, Jack Daniels. Yeah, that's where we're from.
And then Chris, when they ask where Chris is from, he's like, I'm from Kentucky. He's like, bourbon, horses. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. It's like, so it's sort of unfortunate, I guess, but everybody, this is like internationally known, and it's how we connect with people around the world sometimes. It's like, they know that. They may not know country music. They may not know the Appalachian Mountains, but they know bourbon and whiskey.
They know Woodford Reserve. They know Maker's Mark. They know Jim Beam.
They do. So here we are.
Welcome home.
So we got the Spice Cherry Mule hot because it's cold and it's rainy and it's Christmas. It's really good though. It comes out like, you know, some cinnamon stick, a little bit of lime in it. It's got bourbon and then some sort of like cherry syrup. They had a little recipe at the front counter where you can make red pudding old fashioned, which is one of the cocktails they serve here, one of their signature ones. And so you can take that to go. We've got our little mule. We're gonna go sit on the couch after we're done talking to the camera and enjoy the fireplace.
Not interested in trying anything, just go ahead and let me know. You will not hurt my feelings, okay? So we're going to be trying everything that's lined up over here. So just giving you a little idea. It's going to be distilled 10 times. That means it's really easy to drink. So smell it if you haven't. Not much smell there, right? All right, guys, bottle of the day. We got some Eagle Rare coming at you. It's going to be made with Buffalo Trace and real dairy cream. First tour guide to ever be put into that Bourbon Hall of Fame. The root beer is going to be alcohol, caffeine free. We are going to take the root beer and we are going to pour that into the bourbon cream so it mixes properly. And then cheers, y'all. You guys just made an adult root beer float.
So we just finished up our tasting session at Buffalo Trace. This is kind of feels like the Disney World of distilleries in Kentucky because it's huge, which I knew that coming into it because they have so many different labels under like the Buffalo Trace distillery. So that was a lot of fun. We had a really great guide. I guess you'd call her a guide for our tasting session. It didn't take long. It was like maybe 10 minutes long, but her name was Ashley and she was super informative and just sort of like introduced you to some of the brands that they have here. I'm still learning about the different kinds of things. So trying the different places and tasting the differences and the different types of like rye and corn and all this, I'm very beginner at it, but I really am enjoying it.
For us personally, Buffalo Trace, if you're a beginner and these people
are perfect. Like this is
they explain it to you.
Yeah, they explain everything. It is a perfect experience. I did feel like Woodford Reserve is more, you better know what you're getting kind of thing. Here, it's okay. You don't need to know anything. Free tasting, which is amazing that they even offer that. And then they have tours. Every one of these places does tours, and so you can see the entire process of what it takes.
I would like to do some more of the tours, but we are on a time crunch. We are here primarily to see the family for the holidays, so we can't just disappear all day and do distillery tour. We did have time to sneak away and do a little bit of walking around the grounds and seeing it. It's really historic, it's really beautiful, and there's good bourbon at the end of it.
Oh, and they gave you free candy as well.
Oh yeah, Chris can't have it. So what is it, Rebecca Ruth? Isn't that what she's called? So they're little, Rebecca Ruth is like a famous candy place in Kentucky. I've never had it. Chris has never had it either, and now that I'm seeing what she's famous for, I'm understanding it. It's got a pecan on top. He cannot have pecans. I can't. I have 2.
It's okay.
She's just down the street. She's
Wasn't
from
mine.
here. I'm gonna have it, see if it's any good. What is it, chocolate, pecan? I think she said there's caramel and bourbon. A creamy caramel. Ooh. What the heck was that?
We are at Wild Turkey. Now, fun fact, I lived right there. I grew up in a house just right across the river. I always smelled mash in the air. Like, I never realized that was for bourbon when they were making it over here at Wild Turkey. But yeah, I grew up in this area. The fun fact about Wild Turkey, while Matthew McConaughey may claim it and it's very new for him, growing up with it, we were here for the good, bad, and the ugly. And the ugly side of Ugly Turkey that I remember as a kid.
It's not Ugly Turkey, it's Wild Turkey.
Or Wild Turkey, sorry. The ugly side of Wild Turkey that I remember as a kid is a lot of bourbon fell down this hill right into that river. And it killed a ton of fish. And as a kid, I didn't realize the magnitude of that. I just thought it was these fish were really happy for a few minutes and then, obviously died. And now, like, reading the story about how bad it was what, 17,000?
What, 17,000? I think it was 17,000 barrels of bourbon, and it killed almost 250,000 fish. It's an environmental disaster. They said, it's not funny. They said that, so one of the, what do you call it, the storage barns or whatever, like storing the barrels, it caught fire, and the fire was like 100 feet tall. It burned for days, like at these alcohol-soaked barrels, wooden barrels, and then it all like fell into the river, and it impacted the river for 66 miles. I just read this a minute ago. That's how I know these facts. But
So I grew up with it, and I'm like, oh, it's just another day here in Kentucky. I didn't think anything of it. So if you've heard of Wild Turkey, obviously Matthew McConaughey is a big spokesperson for Wild Turkey. They've been around for a while.
I don't think they're going to want us mentioning that. Like, that's like your one memory of it from living here. Because he was too young. He didn't move. He moved away when he was like, what, 18?
I moved away when this is my one memory of, this is my memory of Wild Turkey and being out here. So I'm sure they would not appreciate it, but lucky for them, they didn't pay us to be here. And we don't have to... We can say whatever we want, which is super nice.
It was a nice experience.
It was Wild Turkey was a very nice experience here on the Bourbon Trail. It was smaller and more quaint and quiet.
I think it'd be really nice in the summer. The outdoor seating area was really great, but it's cold today. But it has a really beautiful view. Is it the Kentucky River?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. So the Kentucky River right here, and there's these bridges. Everything's dead right now because it's December, but it's still pretty.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really pretty in the summer. They have fireplaces.
It's gorgeous. So, I mean, I would definitely come here. I just have a personal memory that I wanted to share with you, and I'm sure you're going to leave me tons of comments. But you know what? I'm here for it. Let's go ahead, comment away. So, yeah, Wild Turkey. Thanks for the memories, my friend.
For behind the scenes and extra content, you can head on over to our Patreon community. Otherwise, be sure to follow on Instagram or like and subscribe here. It really helps creators like us.